Russia has launched a rather large, if you want to say massive, offensive in the northern part of the country. And maybe this is the spring offensive we've been hearing so much about now that the ground has firmed up. We are also hearing reports of widespread Ukrainian surrenders. Is this a new trend? Is the message getting out that they will either be able to surrender and live a peaceful life eventually or be slaughtered on the battlefield? We're also hearing, of course, that NATO seems to be ramping up once again, beating the drums of war with Germany and the UK and France, pointing towards perhaps NATO involvement in this war. So much to talk about and a big shakeup internally inside of Russia. We thought, who better to ask than Alexander Mercouris from the Duran, kind enough to join us today from London with his brilliant assessments, as always, about military strategy and geopolitics. Alexander, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So first, I guess let's start with this offensive. The Western media has been silent on it, not surprisingly. Nothing really in the United States to talk about a Russian offensive, but it appears that maybe not a full-scale spring offensive, but maybe a large one nonetheless. What do you know about what we're seeing with the Russian forces in the north?
Well, as you correctly said, there's a lot of fog of war. But the impression I've had is that over the first couple of days, the immediate period that you've been mentioning, the last 48 hours, we've not yet seen the Russians commit their main army, their main forces. Apparently, this was an advance by relatively lightly equipped infantry troops crossing the frontier into Ukraine. And what happened was that even as these infantry advanced, the Russian Air Force has been very active, lots of drones, lots of artillery strikes, and the Ukrainian defenses collapsed. It was much more unexpected by the Ukrainians themselves, and I think by the Russians. But a string of villages falling one after the other, tumbling one after the other into Russian hands. No sign of an organized Ukrainian defense, no sign of minefields or fortified lines about which we've been hearing so much. The Ukrainians have now sacked the general who was in charge